Okay. So yeah, 250 points altogether for the final exam. There's two parts to it. The first part is essentially an essay exam, 10 questions. And the second part is your recommendation. So we'll be going through both. Now, let me start the share screen so we can get that rolling. Hold on one sec. There. Okay. Do we all see Blackboard?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Now you've had access to the final exam assignment sheet all semester. However, I had to amend it last week due to obviously the change in format for our class. So it is not quite the same. We're going to go through it now. So in the course content section, feel free to follow along on your end if you would like. At the top here, we have a set of documents. Let's see, yeah, assignment instructions for final exam. So where you'll click here to get to the final exam. Both parts 1 and 2 are here. And then presentation rubric, don't worry about that. This is for when we do it live. But actually, you know what? Do take a look at it. Do take a look at it. You will be assessed essentially on whether or not you complete part 2, though, because in the past with it, it is more of an oral presentation. And since we can't do that, we're going to have to use the discussion board. So if you just simply fulfill that portion of it, you'll get full credit essentially. Okay. So the assignment sheet for the final exam, here we go. For this assignment, students are asked to watch a film, evaluate it, and write a critical recommendation for the film and present it to the class. Now that part we're going to do a little differently, okay? So let's see, point values, we just talked about 125 points each. One is for the online exam, the second is for the discussion board recommendation, and all parts that go into that. So you have the opportunity to select any film that you would like for the final examination. It does not have, and actually it should not be any of the films that we watched this semester. It's not really the point of this, okay? Select any film that you would like. Now, this may be a film that you like a lot. It could be your favorite film. It could be a terrible film that you hate. It could be somewhere in between, all right? But a film that you can, you feel confident in, rather, analyzing all 8 literary elements that we've discussed over the course of this semester, all right? A film that you feel comfortable doing that too. So the only other stipulation is that the film must be a feature length, so it must be no shorter than 80 minutes, which is an hour and 20 minutes, and it must be rated no higher than R. So no short films and no XXX NC-17 unrated films, okay? It has to have a firm R rating at the highest. You can choose PG-13, PG, or G, it doesn't matter, but R is the highest it can go. And again, it must be full running length, at least an hour and 20 minutes. In both the essay exam and the discussion board, students must articulate as to whether or not others should or should not watch the film. In order to effectively justify and or defend the recommendation, the students are required to reference all 8 literary film elements explored this semester, as well as other film concepts explored throughout the course of the semester. So with the online exam, part 1, you'll log into Blackboard and take the final exam. I'll show you where it's at here in just a minute. Beginning during the week of week 13, which is this week. So you can start taking the final exam as early as today if you would like. Now, I would recommend not doing that. You still have 3.5, 4 weeks left in the semester. Give yourself some time here. Don't rush this one, all right? But you can start effectively now and conclude by the end of week 15. So that's your cutoff. The end of week 15 will be Friday, May the 1st. Okay, so that's the absolute latest you can turn in both parts of this assignment is May the 1st. So the exam is accessible within the week 13 through 16 course content folder, as well as, I'm sorry, that's not where the exam is. That's where you will find the lecture notes and supplemental video guide. All of my lecture notes for all 8 literary elements have been included in the weeks 13 through 16 content folder. And then there is a guide that you will see as well that will help you navigate through Blackboard to find all of the supplemental videos for the corresponding literary elements. You may use your resources on the part 1 portion of the final exam. So you can absolutely have the lecture notes up. You can watch the videos as you're responding to the exam as well, all right? I want you to essentially do the best you can on this, so giving you all of your resources is probably going to be helpful in that. So that's part 1. And we will look at how to get to that portion of the exam here in just a minute. Part 2 is your recommendation. Again, if you just simply fulfill the criteria here, you will probably get full credit, all right? At this stage with this model, very, very difficult for you to not get full credit on part 2. So part 2, students must present a recommendation of the film they've selected to the class. Now, the recommendation can be one of should or should not, right? Don't think that you only have to recommend that others watch the film. You may recommend that they stay far away from the film as well, okay? So instructions, number 1, in Blackboard, click on the discussions section, then course content, I'm sorry, it's below course content in the red sidebar. Then click on the blue link labeled final exam film recommendation, then click create thread. Then in the subject line, type your first and last name, and copy and paste your responses to questions 9 and 10 from the online exam in the message box. So before you turn in part 1 of the final exam, you need to save questions 9 and 10 somewhere, okay? Because you're gonna turn around and paste those into the discussion board post for your recommendation. We're at point 5 here, okay? After we've put questions 9 and 10 in the box. Using Browse My Computer option, which is the file upload the movie poster for the film that you've selected. Now you will need to Google search or Bing search, however you search, for the movie poster for your film, and you will need to save it to your desktop. You will need to actually save the image to your desktop in order to properly file upload it. If you simply copy and paste a link, that's not going to suffice. That's not what the instructions ask for, and it may or may not be accessible. So do not put a link there instead of uploading a copy of the movie poster. This is one way that you will not get full credit on this portion of the assignment. So once you have questions 9 and 10 copied and pasted into the message section, and you have the file for your film poster uploaded, hit submit, and then you've completed part 2 of the final exam. Okay, so any questions so far on the final exam as far as what you're being asked to do here? Excellent. Let's look at how we're going to access all this stuff. Okay. So in the assignment section, just like we would turn in any of the essays this semester, we're going to scroll down, and here you'll find the same documents as well. So another place for you to find the assignment sheet for the final exam. I recommend reviewing this before, during, and after the assignment. If this is the only time that you look at the assignment sheet, you will probably miss something. So make sure that you look at it again, okay? There it is. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll see part 1 here. Okay, now again, it's available to you. I'm not going to click on it yet because some of the content will pop up. So again, make sure that you do that later on. Again, there's 10 questions here responding to the 8 literary elements that we have explored this semester, and then 2 additional questions. Each one of your responses should be no less than 150 words. So in total, your part 1 should be about 1,500 words in total, okay? 150 per response. And again, a little reminder here, lecture notes and supplemental videos are allowed as testing aids. You may use them. Cool. So that's how you access part one. Click on that and it will open up the exam. It will be one question at a time. So you'll just go through it until you get to the end. Again, there's 10 there. So that's part one. Part two, we're going to go to the discussions section here. Now, see, it's between course content and assignments, which were the two sections that we used the most this semester. So right in between those, you will now see discussions. Do you all see that on your end? I believe I've made this available. Okay, sweet. Okay, so we're going to click on that, and this is what you'll see. Okay, now in the instructions, this is all laid out on the assignment sheet, so make sure you refer to that as you go through this portion of the final. This is the first thing that you'll see is the forum for part two. Click on that. You'll see my little demo here. Don't worry about that. You're going to go to create thread. In the subject, your first and last name, and the title of your film. Let's do that as well. First and last name and the full title of your film. This is the message box where you'll copy and paste your responses to questions 9 and 10 of the final exam part 1. Browse My Computer is where you will do your file upload to attach your movie poster for the film that you've selected, and then submit once you have all that complete. All right. Now, I encourage us all to go through sometime during week 16, which would be beginning May the 3rd. Go back through in the discussion board and take a look at what your classmates have posted. Maybe you find a film in there that's worth watching. Maybe you find a film in there that you've seen that somebody else has seen, and bang, now you have a discussion point that you can have with that person next time you see them. The point here of doing this in class and having people present it is that we walk away with a whole new batch of films that we can watch, and we might be turned on to something that we wouldn't previously have looked into, or maybe we've seen a film and the presentation of it gave us a different interpretation or a new appreciation of that film. So that's sort of the whole point of it, was building connections to the course, to the real world, and to each other through the presentation. So I encourage you to go in through discussions beginning the week of May 3rd and check out what your classmates have done, okay? All right, people. I'm gonna stop sharing screen now. Do we have questions on the final or how to access any of it? Oh, actually, let me go back real quick to sharing screen. Do we see Blackboard again?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wanted to talk a little bit about the weeks 13 through 16 folder because it's different than the others. It's compiled several weeks into one. Laugh at the meme. Okay, you have the final exam assignment sheet again here. The rubric for presentation, you should take a look at it. And then lecture notes. Now this is in a subfolder, so it's kind of weird. You'll have to click on lecture notes in order to get to them, but here they all are. Okay, my lecture notes for each of the literary elements. And then here's your guide. See if I can make that a bit bigger. Yeah. Here's your guide for locating the supplemental videos. You can see the corresponding literary element and then the week folder, which you'll find those videos within. Again, watch them before you respond to the questions on the final exam. Parse it down, do it however it's going to make the best sense to you. But these are some of the resources you have at your disposal. Otherwise, yeah, I need to change that. Okay. Now, do we have any questions? Nope.
So the latest it's due is May 1st?
Correct.
All right.
You have access to it beginning today. Again, don't rush it. I would also recommend watching the films multiple times, watching the film that you select multiple times, take notes as you watch. Again, the only thing I can really tell you about the final exam part 1 is that it focuses on each of the 8 literary elements. Okay, so throughout the film, you are going to have to analyze it for essentially what we did, 8 films. You'll need to do all of that for one film. So you'll need to talk about the character, the plot, cinematography, dialogue, literally all of it. Okay, there will be a question for each in the film. So watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
If you have questions about the film that you've selected and you want to ask, you can do that as long as you are not working on the final exam. All right, and I've given you multiple resources, so I can't be one of them. If you are in the middle of working on your final exam, I will answer no questions. If you want to ask questions before you begin, I will answer them then. Cool?
Are we still going to have class the next
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, so I'm still going to send out a Zoom link every Monday and Wednesday, and I'm going to kind of treat the rest of class meetings as open conferencing. So when you have questions, that's a good time to ask them. Obviously, don't wait because you might forget your question. If it's a time where there's going to be a day or two before we meet again, email that question to me, all right? But if you can wait a couple hours or a day, you can ask it at Zoom. But it's essentially an open conference at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And attendance is still counted, so showing up to Zoom will suffice that. Also, if you cannot make Zoom, logging into Blackboard before 4 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays suffices as present for attendance as well. Okay, any other questions, any other concerns? Seems manageable? I sure hope so. All right, yeah, if that's it, then we're gonna go ahead and disconnect. I'll send a Zoom link out on Wednesday, and we'll treat that as our first official open conference day. Cool? All right, everybody. Have a great day. Take care. Thank you for joining us.